This is my story, this is my song, praising our Savior all the day long. I love that song, and it takes me back to my childhood. Now, over the last several days, couple weeks, we've been bringing you these devotions that are our stories, those of us here on staff, to let you kind of see maybe a glimpse of us that you didn't know, or a glimpse of us that you haven't heard before, or maybe just something that will help you relate to us. I think sometimes when you see us as pastors, there's this idea that we have it all together, and that maybe we always have had it all together, and that's not really the case. At least that's not the case with me. Now, I grew up in church. I'm a Buick, a brought up in church kid. I spent practically every Sunday of my life in church, and maybe like many of you, not just Sunday mornings, but Sunday evenings too, because we had to go to church in the morning and leave for lunch and go home just long enough to kind of get used to being home, and then you had to get dressed back in your church clothes again and go back for the evening for a whole other service. And then we came on Wednesday nights too, and so we were those 3 times a week types of churchgoers. And not just 3 times a week, but we were involved. My mom, as far as I've known, has played the piano or the keyboard on praise and worship teams my entire life, and really before I was even born. I grew up being not just in the church, but a part of the church. I wanted to serve in every way I could from a very early age. I remember as a kid even, I learned how to run the soundboard so that I could be involved. I wasn't a very good singer, so I wanted to be involved helping with the sound in our kids' services. And then in youth services, I'd run the soundboard, or I'd play the drums, or occasionally I'd try to work my way into preaching. Kind of crashed and burned a few times, but I did that, right? And then in college, I was involved in campus ministries and helped with music teams at churches again, and again helped in the sound booth. And all the way up through, I've not only been a part of the church, I've been involved in the church. But that doesn't mean I've always had it all together. I've had people ask me, since they know that I'm a pastor and they know that I have grown up in the church, they've asked me, well, Kurt, what was your walk with Jesus like? What was it like as you learned to be like Jesus? And I said, I'm still doing that. That's not something that I did and then turned the page on. I'm still doing this. I'm still walking with him and learning how to become like him and learning how to come to him on a daily basis. One of the verses that my mom gave me as a child that has stuck with me my entire life is found in Proverbs chapter 3. And it says this in Proverbs 3, verse 5. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths." It's one thing to have a life verse, and I don't know if that's my life verse. A lot of times our life verses, we pull them out of context. But for me, I can look at this verse, and it's a reminder for me all the time that it doesn't matter if I think I have it all together, because I serve a God who does. I've gone through periods of my life, just because I've been in the church my whole life, and I was baptized when I was 13, and as far as I'm concerned, I've never known anything other than Jesus. But I look at it like it's easy to think I've got it all together, and I don't. In fact, you can't really see what's right here in front of me, which is called good camera angles. My desk is kind of a mess. I mean, I've got my stuff here. I'm working on my sermon for Sunday as we wrap up this series. I've got a book I've been reading. I've got some other stuff over here that I need to go through. I've got about 20 tabs open on my computer right now, which, if you know me, that drives me crazy to have that many tabs open on my computer right now, but that's what I've got. I've got water bottles and empty cups and coffee. My desk is a mess. My desk is busy. It's chaotic. Maybe that's a better word than messy. It's just busy. But that's my life. In fact, I'll be very honest with you. I didn't realize I had to make this video today until about 30 minutes ago. And I'm going to a staff meeting here in just a few minutes. So I'm just opening up my heart and letting you see kind of this is what life is like. But that's okay. Because again, I serve a God who has everything under control. And that, for me, is what I need in my heart. That's the reminder that I need, is that I can look to him and not lean on what I think that I can control. Because what I can control is a pretty small, narrow window. And I look back in my life at how many times I have tried to control my own situation. Like how many times that I'm like, God, I come to church all the time and I serve all the time and I read my Bible and I pray. And yet what I'm trying to do is just falling flat on its face. So God, what's up with that? And maybe you've prayed a similar prayer. Maybe you've wondered, like, is there something that I just need to be doing differently? And sometimes for me, I just need the reminder that God has always been there for me. One of the verses that always jumps out to me in the Bible is found in the Old Testament. It's quoted in Hebrews chapter 13 when he says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Sometimes I don't hear God walking right next to me. I can look around and I don't see him. But when I look back on my life, he was always there. Those desert moments that I had where I had a couple of year stretch where I was just had a college degree and couldn't find a job. Stretches where I've been trying to take the next step, whatever it may be in life, and God doesn't want to do it on my timing. That can get frustrating. And it can cause me to ask God a lot of questions. Say, God, you've got a lot of explaining to do to me. Like as if God needs to explain things to me, right? But I look back and he was always there. And that gives me the confidence in my story, knowing that he's going to be there later today. And he's going to be there tomorrow. And he's going to be there the next time I'm staring down a dark path, wondering what's next. He's going to be there with me. Here's the thing that we know. In our world, we're going to run into chaos. Jesus told us that. We're going to run into troubles, but he's always going to be there with us. He's always going to be there for us, because when I look back in my life, he's always been there for me.